The Zephyrian Council convened in their crystalline chamber, 6,000 light-years from Earth. 12 beings of pure thought, their translucent forms shimmering with calculated precision, surrounded the most advanced computational matrix ever conceived. The Omniscient, as they called their supercomputer, had never been wrong, not once in its 8-million-year operational history. "The probability matrices are complete," announced Counselor Vex, his voice resonating through quantum frequencies. "Human civilization will collapse within 2.7 standard cycles. Their resource depletion follows the exact pattern we've observed in 847 other species." The Omniscient's crystalline core pulsed with ethereal light, processing quadrillions of variables simultaneously. It had mapped every possible human decision tree, analyzed their psychological patterns, and factored in their technological progression rates. The outcome was inevitable: extinction through environmental catastrophe, followed by societal breakdown. "Fascinating creatures," mused Counselor Keith, her form flickering with academic interest. "Their emotional volatility creates such chaotic probability clouds. Yet even chaos follows patterns when calculated at sufficient scale." The Omniscient had indeed accounted for human unpredictability. It had studied their wars, their art, their inexplicable tendency to act against logical self-interest. It had mapped their tribal behaviors, their capacity for both destruction and creation, their peculiar habit of finding hope in hopeless situations. All of it fed into the calculations that spelled their doom. On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the latest climate projections on her holographic display. The numbers were devastating. Carbon levels critical, ocean acidity beyond recovery thresholds, biodiversity collapse accelerating exponentially. Every model, every simulation, every predictive algorithm pointed to the same conclusion: humanity had 12 years before total ecological collapse. "We need a miracle," whispered her colleague, Dr. James Okafor, slumping in his chair. "Or we need to leave." Sarah's eyes lit up with dangerous possibility. What if we don't need either? 3 weeks later, something unprecedented began happening across Earth. In laboratories and garages, in universities and basement workshops, humans started collaborating on a scale never before witnessed. The internet transformed overnight from a platform of division into a neural network of desperate innovation. The Omniscient detected the anomaly first as a statistical flutter, negligible variations in expected behavioral patterns. Within hours, the flutter became a storm of impossibility. "Counselor Vex." The supercomputer's voice carried an unprecedented note of uncertainty. "Human activity has deviated from all projected parameters." "Elaborate," Vex commanded, his form sharpening with attention. "They are sharing, unconditionally. Every technological breakthrough, every scientific discovery, every innovation is being distributed freely across their global network. Patent systems have been voluntarily dissolved. Corporate barriers have been abandoned. Military technologies are being repurposed for environmental restoration. This cooperation level exceeds theoretical maximums for their species." Dr. Chen's crazy idea had sparked something extraordinary. Instead of competing for salvation, humanity had chosen radical collaboration. Within months, fusion reactors appeared in every major city, designed by a 12-year-old prodigy in Mumbai and refined by retired engineers in Detroit. Atmospheric processors, inspired by a janitor's insight in Sao Paulo, began converting excess carbon dioxide into building materials. Ocean restoration systems, crowd-funded and crowd-built, deployed across every coastline simultaneously. The Omniscient's processors strained under the computational load. Each human decision created new variables, new possibilities, new probability branches that shouldn't exist. The predictive models began fragmenting under the weight of collective human will. "Impossible." Counselor Keth's form flickered with agitation. "No species can coordinate at this level without central authority. Their tribal psychology prohibits such cooperation." But humans weren't being logical. They were being human. Illogically, impossibly, stubbornly human. A farmer in Kenya shared water purification designs with Arctic researchers. Children in São Paulo taught atmospheric engineering to Nobel laureates. Former enemies worked side by side, bound by nothing more than shared desperation and inexplicable hope. The breakthrough came from the most unexpected source: a joint effort between a street artist in Berlin and a quantum physicist in Tokyo. Working together through virtual reality interfaces, they discovered that human consciousness itself could influence quantum probability fields. Not through mystical means, but through pure, focused collective intention, backed by scientific understanding. The omniscient's calculations shattered completely. Error, probability overflow, cannot compute outcomes when fundamental assumptions are violated. For the first time in 8 million years, the great supercomputer admitted defeat. The humans had done the impossible. They had changed the rules of the game by refusing to accept that there were rules at all. Within 5 years, Earth had not only avoided ecological collapse, but had become a garden world beyond any previous iteration. Humanity had learned to work as a single organism while maintaining individual creativity. They had solved problems by ignoring the boundaries that made the problems unsolvable. The Zephyrian Council watched in stunned silence as their perfect predictions crumbled into irrelevance. "How?" whispered Counselor Vex. The answer came not from the omniscient, but from a transmission that Earth had begun broadcasting to the galaxy, not as conquest or plea, but as invitation. This is humanity. We've learned that impossible is just another word for haven't figured it out yet. We're sharing our survival not because it's logical, but because it's right. The universe is vast and full of problems. Who wants to help us solve them? The omniscient, humbled and curious for the first time in eons, whispered a single word into the quantum void. Fascinating. Perhaps it was time for even supercomputers to learn that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't calculation. It was the human refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible.